So hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's time to talk about the season finale of The Last of Us. My god, when I say I have notes, I have notes. Oh sweet mother of Jesus. This video is going to end up being 12 days long. Before we get started, just reminding you guys, the link to my Patreon is down below where I do a whole bunch of other reactions. There's about 2 uploads a day. I cover things like old shows, new shows, movie reactions and live streams. Recently started reactions for The White Lotus, Supernatural and Lockwood & Co. And I'm starting reactions for Outer Banks. Don't know when yet, I haven't started, but I will be. So yeah, Patreon is just a good old time. It's a good old busy time over there. So yeah, the link is down below and the link to my Twitter and my Instagram is also down below where you can come and say hello if you would like to. Alright, so let's go with the finale of The Last of Us. My thoughts are going to be so scattered because that's just how I am. I tried to stay on topic, but every time I got a new thought, I would just simply add it to the list. Instead of putting it into the list where it should be, I would just add it to the bottom of the list. So now my list is all over the place. So first of all, yeah, it was amazing getting to see video game Ellie birth TV Ellie. I mean, we just saw TV Ellie kill video game Joel last episode. This show is just doing stuff. It's just doing stuff and I love it. Annie was completely badass. She slid that child out of her womb while fighting off an infected creature. She looked down and was almost surprised to see that the kid was just laying on the ground. She was like, oh, you've arrived. Didn't notice you there amongst all the killing. I really love the scene as well where Marlene barges in on her because you can see she has the knife to her throat. She has the kid in one arm and the knife in the other, as if, if she was to turn, she would not hesitate, bitch. She would have just, and that's strength and mental planning I cannot comprehend. I'd be a sobbing mess given the fact you just killed an infected, you just gave birth and you found out your bit. That's too much for any one person to handle, But she was on the ball. She was planning. She was ready. She was lucky too that she got bit on the leg because usually the leg bites prolong how long it takes for you to turn, right? That's what we saw from, was it episode 1? We saw that there was a sign on a wall that said that neck, head, chest and arm bites are typically the fastest they turn you. So she was lucky she got a bit of time alone with her child. Obviously not too lucky because, Let's talk about Marlene for a second. So she promised to keep her safe, right? She promised Ellie's mom she'd keep her safe. And she did until the time came to not. And then she was like, okay, brain surgery. It is what it is. Now listen, this has been such a hot topic and a point of debate among viewers. I can see both sides. I know what side I side with, but I can see both. You think you have the possibility of a cure. You think you have the answer, the key in your hands. Are you going to sacrifice the life of one person to save possibly millions and to maybe get back to some semblance of a before? I could see why she would be willing to sacrifice Ellie for that. But at the same time, they're not even sure they had a cure. What was the quote? The quote was, he thinks it could be a cure. She didn't say, yeah, this is it, for sure, this is it. They didn't even know that they could extract a cure from her or come up with a cure from her brain. I am 1000% on Joel's side here. And yes, I caught some slack from that too. My God, there were some people going off at me in the comments and I don't care. I will get into that in a minute. Someone brought up a point as well in the comment section of could you just have a bunch of women or a group of women agree to have kids, get bit and then try and cut the umbilical cord, similar to how Annie was bitten, or Anne was bitten. Is it Anne or Annie? I think it's Anne. Anna. It was neither. Anna. That just brings up a whole other load of moral dilemmas and questions, and it would be so incredibly messy. I don't know that they would be able to recreate that even if they wanted to. Staying on the topic of Marlene, she's been an interesting character. To be introduced into the show with her being kind of a really shining force of nature for Ellie, for her to be the one to tell Ellie, hey, you're the cure, you're special, we got to get you to this certain place. And then for her to be the one waiting at that place to kill her, and she didn't even tell her. That's my biggest problem. She didn't tell Ellie. She didn't say, hey, yeah, you might be the cure, you might not, but in order for us to find out, you gotta die. She didn't tell her that. And we know she didn't tell her that because she told Joel. She told Joel, like, don't worry, like, she wasn't... What was it she said about her? She wasn't scared or she wasn't stressed or something because they didn't tell her. They didn't give her the choice. That's my biggest problem with it, because if Ellie had known, then it would have been her decision. If she had decided to die for the cause, then so be it. That would have sucked. And it would have been so unfair and cruel on Joel and on Ellie to lose her life for this... What's the word I'm looking for? Cause. But she wasn't given a choice. In the same, breath, I guess you could argue that Joel didn't give her a choice either, because Joel just swooped in there and kidnapped her. But at least he gave her somewhat of an idea of a choice in the future, where if she does live and if she does find out in the future that he lied and she is still the only chance at a cure they have, then in the future when she's grown and she can make an informed decision, she can decide what to do with herself, her body and her future, instead of having it taken away by Marlene. And Marlene, listen, Joel's the one who went on the murder rampage. Joel is the one to blame. 1000%. But Marlene should have known that you would have needed like a distant cousin of the Hulk to keep that man out of this hospital after she specifically told him she was gonna kill Ellie. I'm like, girl, you wanted Joel out of the hospital and you chose to say the one thing that would turn on instant kill mode in this being. You're talking about this ice cold man who's been emotionally detached for decades, who has just learned to love again. You think telling him that you're going to kill the one thing that he loves was a good move? Of course it's easier for Marlene, and she doesn't even see this. She thinks it's a harder decision on her. She didn't have the relationship with Ellie that Joel did. She didn't have a parental or guardian figure role in Ellie's life. She barely knew Ellie. You know what I mean? We saw her meet her back in, I think it was episode 1. Joel spent time with her, grew to care for her, grew to love her, grew attached. So of course she didn't have the connection to her that Joel did. Obviously it was still a moral dilemma for her, but she would be more comfortable making the decision to kill her. What a messed up sentence. Now, staying on the topic of Joel, okay? What he did was wrong. Killing a bunch of people, wrong. Going through the hospital like an absolute mad lad. Come on now. That's not on Joel. But I still simply do not care. I am on his side. Listen, I said it in the reaction. I don't have a kid. I have a baby brother. And the reason I use that as an example is because he's younger than me. I look on him as more immature than me. I look on him as needing to be guided, I guess, in ways, and needing to be looked after. Similar to how Joel looks at Ellie. Add on to that, he hasn't cared for somebody this way in a very long time. I feel like she kind of made him care about the world again. I cannot blame him. I can't. I don't care. If that was my brother or my partner or my parent that was taken from me and I was knocked out, and when I woke up I was given no choice, they were given no choice, I was just told, yeah, they're gonna die for the possibility of a cure. Bye bye now. You fucked up telling me that bit of information, I'll tell you that much. I'd be foaming at the mouth, smacking people square into the brains. I did love the scene of him walking through the hospital. He had completely disassociated. My guy had zoned out and was in a trance. He had tunnel vision. He only knew he wanted to get to her. Anything between him and her, unimportant. You're a threat, you're dying. He did not give a single fuck. He wasn't looking at the people in his way as people. They were just obstacles. They were things that were keeping him from her. And I absolutely loved how that was portrayed, with the vision being slightly blurred. The sound was kind of blurred. You were a little bit out of it. It really captured his mental state. And I like how calm he was as he approached the surgery. I mean, you see him go into this absolute savage kill mode. My guy is just mowing through people like they're nothing. And then you see him when he gets into the room with Ellie, how calm he turns. He tells the nurses to cover her arm because she's got a tiny little bit of blood. I mean, it's tiny. It's a tiny little hole in her hand from a needle. Doesn't matter. He's like, I don't want to see her bleed. Cover that up. Fix it. And how gently he picks her up. And he has this moment with her just after he picks her up, and also in the elevator, where it's so tender in comparison to like the savagery that we've seen just in the scene previous. And that just, the contrast was just stunning. Him carrying her in the last episode mirrored him carrying Sarah in the first episode, except this time, in his eyes, he didn't fail her. It was a kid that he saved. It was his kid that he saved. So I thought that was gorgeous as well. And this show really does have a habit of like mirroring and throwing back to other scenes, and it's divine. The scene where he killed Marlene in the car park, Because again, he didn't really see her as, oh, this is Marlene. He saw her as, you're going to come looking for her. So I can't have that. You're dead. Now, people did point out he did let the nurses live and another person ran away in the corridor. So there are going to be people. I thought he'd killed everybody. My guy didn't do a very good job of clearing that hospital. God bless him, he tried his best. But he didn't get everyone, so someone's going to come after him. But I did like the scene where Ellie wakes up in the car. You can see him instantly go into, it's alright, you're with me. Like, he knew the first thing to do was comfort her. And one of the first things she asked for as well was, where were her clothes? After seeing the last episode, after seeing episode 8, I don't know, it just kind of heightened that fact that that innocence that she had was just gone. That childlike innocence that had really shone through in her character, it started to fade. We'll talk about that again in a minute though with other scenes. The scene in the car where he lied to her. My guy should not have lied to her. He just shouldn't have done it. That's going to be super not great moving forward, okay? I mean, I guess lying to her in his eyes is probably better than being like, ooh, I killed everybody for you. How's Marlene doing? Well, last time I saw, super dead. But you can see the guilt in his face. And I don't think it's because he did what he did. I think it's just because like he had to lie to her. You could see it. And when he says, I'm sorry, when she starts to drift off back to sleep. I don't know, man. I've said it for a while, and you see it in his character. Loving someone is one of the most selfish things you can do. I remember hearing that as a kid and thinking, that's lies, that's bullshit. Love is beautiful, love is selfless. It's not though, because when you love someone, you might love them because of who they are, but it's more a case of how you feel when you're with them, or when you talk to them, or what would you do for them because you love them, because you want them to be safe. You want them to be happy. You want to make them feel good. Love is a selfish act. This just proved it. Him doing what he did to save her because he wanted to save her, because he couldn't lose her. And but you could argue, yes, he wanted her to have a choice and he wanted her to have a say also. But he didn't wait to hear what she had to say before he killed everyone. So that line as well in the car where he said, I'm taking us home. Us and home. This is the same man. This is the same man who went from, what was it? You're not family, you're cargo, to the fight scene where he said, like, you know, you're not my daughter and I'm not your dad, to, it's all right, baby girl, I got you, to, I'm taking us home. The evolution has been completed. They're family now. They have been for a while, I know, but just, yeah, oh, yeah. But getting back around to how he killed Marlene, him saying, like, you know, you just come after her. He's been so cold for so long. He's been keeping people at arm's length all along. We saw it kind of with Tess. We saw it with people that he liked or cared about. I think he's just done. He's like, look, this is like... this is a guy who does not connect easy. He doesn't let himself. Now that he's allowed himself to feel, he's like, all right, there will be no threats. I will simply kill everybody. And I appreciate that in a character. That whole, you know, anything between you and me is dead. A lot of people were calling me choice words because I said, yeah, I agreed. But yeah, it's the truth. This isn't real life. This is make-believe. This is the apocalypse world. Are you telling me that if you were in the apocalypse world and someone had somebody that you loved and was about to kill them, that you'd just allow it to happen? That you would not go to the ends of the earth to get them back? To each their own, but I agree with Joel. And it does depend, I guess, to an extent on how you're watching the show and what viewpoint you're watching the show from. It just so happened that throughout most of this episode, it was from Joel's point of view. Every time you tried to see him reach Ellie, like when he had the board game and he wanted to play with her, when he talked about playing guitar that he'd teach her, the giraffe scene, which, yes, that was divine. You could see him watching her. You're seeing the episode through Joel's eyes. I found him trying to make her laugh, him trying to cheer her up. The way he looks at her during the giraffe scene as well, because she looked so childish and she looked so happy. And I'm guessing he hadn't seen that in a very long time. And you can see him just basking in it. But yeah, it just happens that we're watching the scene play out through Joel's eyes. So I'm talking about the hospital scene where he decides to go Rambo on everybody. You're looking at it from I want to save, you know, who I now view as my kid. I want to save them and I'm going to do it. You're going through the scene with him. You're disassociating with him. You're holding your breath with him. Maybe that's just how I view it because I'm a Joel Miller apologist. My baby boy could be on the floor sucking up blood off the ground and I'd be like, he's got a point. But no, in all seriousness, I can just relate to the character and I think it's fascinating. I think it's fascinating to think that if you had followed the doctors who were in the room with Ellie, if you had opened the show with them and with their research and you had stayed with them throughout all the episodes, and you had followed them from hospital to hospital, from failed cure to failed cure, would you have rooted for them? Would you have rooted for them in this moment? If you were a doctor, and maybe you are, I don't know who you are watching this, that's the weird thing about YouTube. That is really the weird thing about YouTube. This video could reach, I don't know who. So yeah, like if they were trying to find a cure, and you think this girl on your table is it, would you feel bad about what you're doing? I don't know. Love can turn you crazy, man. Love can just turn your brain off to all logic and reason, and you're just operating on pure emotion, which Joel was, I think, in this. Him lying to Ellie obviously sucked, but I think what hurt the most was the end of the episode where she finally opens up about Riley and she's honest and raw with him and he lies to her. In that moment that she completely opens up, we've seen him open up about Sarah throughout this episode. We've heard her name dropped a few times. We had Joel open up and tell Ellie that he tried to off himself after Sarah died. That was such an emotional moment. Whoa. But I feel like they're never on the same page, Joel and Ellie. One will be opening up as the other one is like playing their cards close to their chest or lying in this case, because Joel just lied to her about what happened, and when she asked like, is that really how it went down, and he just went, yep. It was interesting in this episode too, watching how the dynamics changed, that Ellie was the one that was zoned out and a little bit distant and shut off from him, because that was always his thing, that was always his motive, that was his archetype as a character, and she was the quippy, silly, light-hearted one that would run along beside him. Watching the role reversal in this episode after what we saw in episode 8 was it was heavy, and it was very well done. What other points do I have? These points are all over the place. I just know I'm missing points. Oh my god. I had a point about when he sat with Ellie and admitted to trying to end things the second day after Sarah died, where she says time heals all wounds, and Joel says it wasn't time that did it, and then he just stares at her like, being that emotionally vulnerable. I think that's the most emotionally open that we've seen him be with someone, even more so than with Tommy. And we had that big crying scene where he admitted to feeling like a failure and a flop and an old useless sack of potatoes. But that moment with Ellie, he looked scared to even be admitting it, that she was the one that helped heal him and helped him love again. And the way he looked at her with such like fear and anticipation, like he didn't even say it out loud, he didn't even say it was you. He didn't even say it. He alluded to it and then stared at her like, please get what I'm saying. And I'm like, I can relate. I do not like saying things out loud either. I loved the shitty puns. I loved the shitty puns this episode. And especially Joel saying that he was in the mood for them. Him using the one thing he knew would get the situation back on track. That would steer us away from emotional town and back into pun land. And I wonder if Pedro had heard the puns before shooting it, because I don't know, man, his smile looked really genuine after hearing them jokes. Another point that I had made is my guy got bonked on the head twice. He got hit on the head episode 8 when he got knocked out and kidnapped. And then he also got hit on the head in this episode when he got knocked out and kidnapped. How does my guy have any brain cells left? How is there no long-term brain damage going on there? Do concussions, they just don't affect Joel Miller. He's too tough for that shit. He's like, no, I refuse. Oh yeah, I just need to touch on another one of my favourite lines from this show where she said, I'll follow you anywhere we go. And then she goes on to say, we got to finish what we started. Again, throw that sentence into comparison with what we've heard from earlier episodes, where she was asking him, what did you want to do once all this ends? She said she wanted to go to the moon. He wanted a sheep ranch. Or sheep farm, I think it was. There's no more coldness between the two of them. Now we get sentences like, I'm taking us home. I'll follow you anywhere you go. There's no more pretense with them. They're both just like, yeah, we're family now. And we both accept it. It frightens both of them, but they both accept it. Something else I really liked as well about the last scene is that Joel... Now listen, I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but I could be. It's very common for me to be. But it looked like Joel was wearing the shirt that he opened the show in. It looked like he was wearing the denim shirt from episode 1. If not, if he wasn't wearing it, he was wearing one really similar. I like that he's in that for the last episode. Just to kind of mirror episode 1, but how different he is underneath it now. How much has changed since the first episode. I like that he wore Frank's shirt for a while as well, because I feel, I don't know, there's symbolism in little things like that. Characters taking on small little things from other people, be it, an item of jewellery or clothing that they choose to wear for a bit. I love that in shows. Oh shit, yeah, I forgot to make this point. Her opening up about Riley to Joel, right? And when Joel then lies and he's like, lol, yeah, no, it went down exactly as I said. Swear to God, cross my heart and hope to die. My fingers are crossed behind my back. That was her way of saying that she felt responsible for all them deaths. She feels like it was her fault. She failed those people, they died because of her. And I think she just didn't want to add Marlene to that list and all the group of Fireflies if Joel had been the one to kill them, which I think she suspects, because she would feel like that was on her, like that was her fault. So just touching on some things that I liked about this season. My God. Okay, so just like real quickly, I am taking screenshots. Could you stop? I think I've done a chat video for almost every episode, maybe with the exception of one or two, because I just couldn't get around to making them certain weeks. Some critiques I have of the season, which they're not fucking many in comparison to the things I did like. I wish it had been longer. I wish the season had been longer. I wish we'd gotten an episode or two extra, or maybe just some more extended episodes, just to feel around, flesh out some of the side characters. It just would have given us more time to play around, I guess. But in a way, I did like how it was paced. A lot of people are saying that it was very quick, it was very choppy, it barreled through stories. I like that. I like that it didn't give you time to get bored of people. It didn't give you time with a character to be like, man, fuck this guy, when's he gonna die? Because as soon as you click the fact you don't like someone, they're already dead. And I'm like, nice one, I don't need to worry about them anymore. It doesn't drag its heels. It gets in, it gets to the point, wham, bam, they're dead now, basically. I like that. I really like that in the show. That's something that I feel like you don't get all that much in a show anymore. It doesn't get caught up in shoving shit down your throat for episodes and episodes until you're sick of the plot or the character that the plot's dealing with at that particular time. People are saying that there wasn't enough infected. I've seen that a lot. People saying that there wasn't enough clickers or bloaters, whatever the fuck. I know there's a whole bunch of different terms for infected because there's different types. I can understand that. I can. I mean, I really like the one that killed Ellie's mom. Spooky. I liked the acrobatic demon from hell inside the back of the car with Ellie. Spooky. But that kind of leads me into the things that I liked about the show, right? I like that as violent and as vicious as the show was, it didn't focus on that. It was very much a show that deals with like personal, interpersonal relationships, growth of individuals, and bonds over time. I mean, it really dealt with like familial bonds, found family. It's a coming of age story if you look at it through Ellie's point of view. It's a bittersweet reflection on things you've done wrong and desperately trying to change the past through what you do moving forward. If you look at it through Joel's eyes, it's about learning to love again. It's about... I really like how it was done. You got the pains of growing up. It deals with first love. It deals with old love. It just... Love is the core of this show. That is the conclusion I've come to. Ellie and Riley, Bill and Frank, Joel and Ellie, Ellie's mom and Ellie, Joel and Sarah. And it's all different kinds of love. It's not just romantic love, which I adore. I love that romantic love is not necessarily the core of the show. It's just love as a whole. And we really got to see that in the finale with the decisions that were made and the things that happened. It just, I don't know, it feels intimate. It's a huge show. It's a big show. But it feels small. You're following these two characters, their story, their growth. It feels intimate. I mean, you look at other apocalypse shows. Don't get me wrong. You guys know what my favourite show of all time is. Ever. Not in Steve Crown and that for me. King of my heart. But with a lot of other apocalypse shows, you are dealing with the bigger picture. You're dealing with more big groups, more people. Yeah, you deal with found family, but in bigger numbers. You deal with moving from place to place, settlements, villains and stuff, yeah. But this just, I don't know, I think it's because it was just about these two characters. You form a bond faster with them. You connect to them faster. And it's a different kind of connection because you grow to know them so well. I don't know. What they managed to do in 9 episodes, in my opinion, is just incredible. And the acting, holy mother of God. Bella stole it for me. Absolutely stole it for me the last 2 episodes. Pedro is probably one of my favourite actors ever. So I'm not even surprised. I'm not even surprised that my guy was just killing it. But they're both such unique actors as well. I've said it about Bella a billion times. Incredible actor, yeah. But Bella has this way with sound and conveying mood, like the scene with David. The sounds that was coming out. of Ellie were just guttural and terrifying and broken. And same as when Joel meets her then in the snow and he's like, it's just me. The way she cries and sobs, I was like, I wanna punch my way through this computer, wrap her in a blanket and give her some hot chocolate. I feel like that's one of Bella's strengths. And one of Pedro's strengths is his expressions. He's a very expressive actor. My guy doesn't even need to say much. You can just read it all over his face. I love that in an actor. It's one of my favourite things. And in my opinion, it's a sign of absolute talent. When you don't gotta oversell with words. You don't gotta do a whole lot. You let your face do the talking, which he does. Staying on the topic of him though, staying on the topic of Pedro. Man, I don't know, one thing that's really pissed me off this season is like people's response to him. And here's the thing. He's so beautiful. It makes me want to eat glass. So I get it. I'm human. I have eyes. But man, the way he's been treated lately on like red carpets and in interviews. When did everyone just decide that it's okay to be super inappropriate? It's just fucking weird. It's weird, and I haven't seen anything like this in a while regarding an actor. Where people just... Not that they go feral and they love him, because that's grand. But I mean, people are just straight up forgetting he's a person. They're treating him like he's this internet's, I don't know, a plaything. And it's like, dude, it's okay to be attracted to someone. It's okay to think someone's pretty. As long as you don't forget they're a person. And any interview I watch of him lately, I don't know. It's just super strange how people talk to him and treat him. Can we just stop with that shit? Please? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being overly sensitive because I just adore him and think he's wonderful. Anyway, that is it for this chat, you guys. This one went on longer than usual. I bet you there's points that I missed, because like I said, the points just go all over the place. Look at them. My God, if I could just manage to organise myself, I'd be unstoppable. I think that's it. I think that's all the point that I made. I scroll and the first point I come across is Joel murdered people in cold blood. And... ? That sums up how I feel about Joel Miller. I'll collect all the red flags he's dropping and shove them into my pockets as I skip happily through destruction with him. But yeah, that's it for this video, you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, you beautiful people. Mandalorian reactions will be continuing on here, and Patreon reactions will be continuing as well. So yeah, I'm still going to be putting out a whole bunch of content. I'm excited to get into... I don't know where that thought was going. It left. I'll just wave at that thought as it leaves my head. So yeah. Link to my Twitter and Instagram, Patreon, anywhere you can find me is in the description down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon.